Hey gamers, welcome to episode 55 of Cinema Curse. Tonight, fucking ripping some of those fucking chunky Clouds bong hits with everyone's favorite marijuana associated director, Kevin Smith. No, it's Bong Joon Ho and his new film, Mickey 17. Yeah. I am your wicked game master, Connor Lloyd Crews. Joining me today is bong expert, chief bong hitter, Daniel Ott. Also, Bri Robert.
What's up, guys?
And Scott Heaton. What? We'll read comics for food. Hell yeah. But I would like to thank Marina Sakamoto and her band Shunkin for the use of their song Curse. I have the EP She Nods for our opening. It's been 518 days since the strike ended. The AMPTP still sucks. How is everybody doing? I know the answer for half of us is we'll keep that one to ourselves.
Oh boy, yeah. I believe that's a personal question, my friend.
Oh man.
We just live in the best time ever.
Yeah, it's true. Everything's going great. Well, speaking of things that are going great, the just released jumped onto video on demand. Mickey 17 is what the main thing we're gonna talk about today. I got a great picture of our Pats and Vaughn making a cute little heart. Daniel, I'll make you. I'll make you summarize Mickey 17. I feel like a kind of a difficult movie to summarize succinctly.
Yeah, I guess like from a base level, it's I can't really can you spoil? It's about a kind of like is it post-apocalyptic in a type of future that seems maybe accurate.
We established the spoiler level earlier.
That's true. In a future that feels pretty accurate to the way things are going. It's about a man who, in desperation, signs up to work on a spacecraft in the role of an expendable, which is someone who's like
made to look like Stallone.
Brain, yeah, like they're cloned, and so he goes to do the dangerous things. Robert Pattinson plays Mickey, who is charged with doing the most dangerous things on the ship and on different planets they explore, trying to find a new place to restart or continue humanity. And every time he dies, he's reborn again by being printed. And through some circumstances beyond his control, he ends up with both himself, Mickey 17th version of him, and Mickey 18, the 18th version of him, existing at the same time. And that's bad, according to the higher-ups.
Yeah, Mark Ruffalo and Toni Collette play this power couple in charge of everything, and Mark Ruffalo especially is like channeling, I think he's like clearly channeling Trump a little bit, and some other just like
a lot of dictators,
just assholes in general. You have muted yourself, Bri.
Until I do anything and this fucking thing just like I literally put my earbud in, it just changes everything. No, I was gonna say Mark Ruffalo's definitely like he's doing the Trump via the poor things channeling.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
he had like too much fun doing that, but he's like, I do this
He's still more likable than actual Trump, but that's a whole other
100%.
thing.
Yeah.
Like doing the worst shit, he's still the best.
He gave a great interview where he was talking about that they shot this in 2022, and he was like, if I knew when it was going to come out, I would not have given the same performance. Like it felt like very like over the top satire of the years that came before, and having it come out now, it feels like it was made in the last few months instead.
I'm okay with that though. Like I think it's interesting. I can understand why that performance would be more off-putting for people than considering, but yeah. But anyways, like yeah, they have this whole religious thing about why multiples can't exist. So if they find multiples, they gotta kill them all. And
was it religion?
It was partially like a religious, like moral thing where it was like the soul. Something about there can't be like one soul between multiple vessels. Maybe it wasn't exactly religious.
Wasn't it more like morality?
Yeah, but they keep referring to like the company as the church anyways. So I feel like there's like a religious overtone to all this stuff.
I think they're channeling religion to control things the way that they want to, so they can act the way they want to, but it's under the guise of religion.
Aspect, because the part I really liked was the scientist. This is somewhat of a spoiler, but it's more just the backstory of why doubles aren't allowed. The scientist who cloned himself to be a serial killer, so then he'd have the perfect alibi because he'd be out somewhere in public where people could see him, but meanwhile his clone was committing these atrocious murders, and that was a big reason why like doubles were outlawed.
I guess that's true, because that is something that happens in the movie is 18, well essentially 17 is posing as 18 because they all think 17 is dead. And 18, something else they establish is sometimes the versions are a little different, and 18 is clearly like something got he's like weird and aggro comparatively.
Well, it's sort of hinted that something may like this when they're printed, the scientists, the way that it's handled can shift their kind of traits to some degree. Whether that's I don't think it's like commented on that it's experimental at all, but like something like some of the when we see like a montage of the printing, like they might fall off and hit their head, or like something comes unplugged from the machine, and I'm wondering if that has to deal with like their shifts, just kind of like the carelessness of it.
Yeah, potentially. And then there's kind of two other big plot things which I'll just mention, which is one, this planet has all these creatures on it. What do they call them? The creepers, which I love.
Wait, keep going.
Do you have a plushie? Oh, I hope you got one of the plushies. There's a really great interview with Bong Joon Ho where he has a little baby creeper plushie, and he's just like sitting back, like weirdly, kind of, and just like petting it the whole time. Hell yeah!
He's got it.
Got a little gay.
Hey, I'd love to get one of those guys.
Honestly, this is why, like, even when merch for like Bong comes out, I don't even want to tell you because I'm like, I know you're already on it times 3.
I need to get the Okja pig. I didn't know that existed until I went to a Q&A and saw it, and I'd like it.
But you've seen that video, Daniel, of him in that interview, kind of weirdly leaning back.
That's what got me. I saw that and I was like, surely these exist, right? I'll get one.
And Mark Ruffalo, in his infinite wisdom, thinks that they are dangerous, and because he's basically just xenophobic and an asshole. And in fact, they are the reason why Mickey 17 survives. They actually save him instead of killing him. This is pretty early in the movie stuff, I feel like, or maybe it's like towards the middle. I don't know. I forgot how it was structured, but they it essentially becomes this thing where the Mickeys know that the creepers are not bad, and that by fucking with them, they're only fucking themselves. But
they also can't quite tell anybody that, because if they tell them that, they'll know that there's a clone.
Yeah. And then the last thing, and probably weirdly the core of the movie that we haven't mentioned yet, is that it's a love story between Mickey 17 and I'm forgetting Naomi Ackel. Nasha. Is it Naomi Ackel or Naomi Aki? I'm not sure.
Naomi Aki?
Jackie, who she's great, and great cast. Our Pats as always, Tony as always, Ruffalo. Really, Stephen Yeun was really fun in this. Whenever he would just like pop his head, like I feel like he did a lot of scenes where his like he would pop in head first, and be like, "Hey, Mickey, how's it going?"
And Tony's just everything in general.
Yeah, good partner, good pair up of those.
Mm-hmm.
Two. Finish my sentences.
I think to me the thing that this reminds me of most is it especially having it come after Parasite, which was this huge win. I mean, it won Best Picture, which isn't it the first? It's the first
foreign language.
First foreign language. Is it the first foreign language film to ever win Best Picture, or is it the first?
I believe so.
Yeah,
I think so.
It's
if not the first foreign language film, certainly the first film from another country.
Yeah. It's funny that this is what he follows up with it, because to me it reminds me, it has a big Burn After Reading post No Country for Old Men or Big Lebowski post Fargo vibes. But I'm glad that as a culture, critically, we've kind of caught up, because I feel like the reaction to Big Lebowski was pretty negative. Burn After Reading was kind of muted, and then people really liked this one, even if it didn't do well financially. And so I thought that was
it's kind of one of those two, like it's like destined to fail, where like it did well, but not well versus how much it needs to make, type of thing.
Yeah.
But I do love same with I haven't seen it yet, it's not out, but Sinners coming out. I'm loving these follow-ups that are just like huge.
I mean, Sinners is going for it,
a ton of money.
Because they have 70s they're doing at AMC now too. Because I know that this is going to have a 70, but like they actually are doing the full AMC treatment too. IMAX 70.
Yeah, should be. I hope it does well. Also, another movie about actors playing two people.
Yeah,
there's a lot of them. Because there's like a couple others.
That's a quick sidebar, but I'm just excited to see what Coogler does like outside of a franchisee thing. So
there was just The Monkey just happened, and that had actors playing two people, and there was another one also that just happened.
Oh yeah,
I'm trying to remember. It's in the stream. Everyone's chomping at it. Yeah, I really enjoyed Mickey 17. I think it's like that. There's for various reasons I haven't watched quite as many movies as I probably would have so far this year, but I've seen about 10, and I feel like that and Black Bag are the two that I've seen so far this year that I think at the end of the year I'll still be like thinking about towards like the like what my favorites are. Maybe there's one or two others, but those are the ones that are like I definitely think at the end of the year I'll still be thinking about. And in general, I tried to catch up on most of Bong's movies, and I think he hasn't, like, I like some more than others, but I don't think he's made like a bad movie in any capacity, really.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's pretty cool. Like it's easy to talk shit about Warner Brothers and Zaslav, and we should, but it is cool. Like for a second, their idea was like, oh, let's just give a bunch of filmmakers a whole lot of money to make their I don't know if it's necessarily their dream project, but a project on a scale that they couldn't otherwise.
Yeah,
because
it kind of feels like he knew it too.
Yeah. This movie,
they're like I'm going to do this, and that's going to be that.
Feel like, oh cool, I've got a whole bunch of money, I'm gonna and you know what, it doesn't even feel that like big or that epic, but it just feels like well made. Like the critters look amazing, and the CGI is amazing, and just it looks lived in, and like the sets look great and everything, and it's unfortunate that a movie like that costs as much as it did. Like, I feel like maybe there could have been like a $50 million version of that. But like, I think it's cool. In a way, it's like I'm not an investor in Warner Brothers, so what do I care if it made money or not? Like, I'm glad that it exists and it got to exist in that level, and that's what I feel about Sinners, and that's what I'm sure we could feel about PTA's movie, which is also like a giant budgeted thing. Like, and I can't wait to see what PTA does with that kind of money.
Yeah, no, that one looks real good. I'm very excited about that one. But yeah, no, I really liked it. Like, I think it has like a strange structure, but it worked for the most part. I do think that they maybe linger. There's like a dream sequence towards the end, but we won't get into the content of that. I could almost see a version of this just cutting, just because it kind of holds up the ending a little bit. But I also understand. I think on a rewatch, I would either like that part more or less, I would guess.
Yeah, I'd like to see that part again. Like, okay, now that I know what's going on, how does this like fit into everything? The movie felt, I know it was based on a novel, which I haven't read, but it felt like a novel. Like that, yeah. The structure of it felt very just sort of like, yeah, we got this world, we're going to live in it. There's going to be episodic stuff, chapters or whatever. It did not seem very plotty, because before we started this, Connor was trying to figure out where we would talk about spoilers, and we all kind of came to the conclusion there's not really spoilers.
Yeah.
I think the coolest thing it does is that it has this huge sci-fi setting, but rather than like bogging you down with here's how the world works, we get like kind of like an exposition dump of like the general state of things, and then we're just in it with these characters having to like figure out things.
Yeah,
I like that non-linear the idea of doing it at the beginning, because it was a nice way of here's the world and now we're caught up, ready to go.
Well, I bet the book isn't maybe non-linear, if I had to guess, and I'm guessing that was probably an adaptation to make it like fit into a film, like give it like an actual like more straightforward 3-act structure, because like I said, the structure is weird, but I bet if I rewatched it, I could probably like identify the general 3-act structure beats, because I feel like they've got to be there.
Full disclosure, I read the books, and there's actually 2 books, and it's interesting because he's taking the basic fundamental of the story about an expendable who ends up with 2 versions of himself existing simultaneously, but then really tweaks the rest of it. Like, I feel like he took the kind of general plot and structure and then made it a Bong Joon Ho thing, which is kind of a cool way to adapt. Yeah. It's also why he changed it, because the book's called Mickey 7, and there's a sequel called Antimatter Blues, and Bong was like, I want to kill him 10 more times to like drive home my point of what I'm getting behind. And I think that's kind of a cool way to do it. Like the book, I enjoyed the books. It doesn't really get in. I think the second book was written after the screenplay was done, because he got like an early draft of the book from someone, and so like he wrote the movie. Like it was announced before the book came out, and then the author loved what he was doing. That he wanted to write a sequel. That like I'm wondering if he like took some ideas from his Bong script to like kind of drive home.
Second Jurassic Park book style, or
a little bit,
or later Scott Pilgrim volume style, because I know both of those
kind
have
of
a similar
ends, and sort of in an unknown space of like relationships between like especially the creepers and the humans, and the second book is about that kind of conflict in a cool way.
Yeah, because it is interesting. Like I said, it is this big sci-fi thing, but it is also a pretty straightforward. There's like 8 real characters, and some like a couple of little choruses of group of other characters here and there, and like all the plots are essentially just based on relationships between those characters, and there's no real like MacGuffin or like plot device, like because I'm counting the like creepers as like one of the like characters almost in a way.
Which is funny because the book has a MacGuffin attached to it, which is so interesting.
Yeah, I could see this honestly as like a series, and like Mickey could die, I don't know about every episode, but like, just like that's a constant thing happening for him and stuff. Because it was like a lived in world, and you had characters, and we haven't even talked about like because Mickey has a girlfriend, but then there's the other woman that kind of becomes attracted to Mickey, and like her whole storyline and stuff.
Yeah.
So it just seemed very like I said, lived in and novelistic, and like I understand why it was hard to sell this movie. I think just because like, other than like the hook of like 2 Pattinsons and he dies and stuff, which isn't that big a part. Like him dying, he does, but that's sort of like in the beginning. he's Mickey 17 for most of the movie. You know, like we've seen those deaths. So like I see like there's not exactly like the hook to like, you know, what is the movie about? It's like that's it.
Yeah.
And
it's 2 Robert Pattinsons for the price of 1.
there you go. In this economy, how you gonna say no to that?
I think it's maybe his best role. He's just built for, like, I love Pattinson. He's made some great decisions. I think he's a great Batman. Him in like little freak mode is exactly where I like him best, I think.
It's definitely up there. I mean, I think his Batman performance is good because he's kind of putting a little freak in it, TBH.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
It's definitely up there with that for me, like Good Time and what was the other one I was gonna name? Boy and the Heron still might be my favorite though, to be honest. That voice performance is fucking nuts.
I haven't seen that. I've only seen with the subtitles, and like people said, like, oh, it's worth watching it once just to hear Pattinson.
I honestly, I like legit in the future, if I was to revisit the movie, would probably revisit the English language version just because of, I think, how good Pattinson's. I certainly don't think it takes anything away from the movie. And like it's I've heard a lot of, I think it's like a pretty top tier English dub. I would say. Yeah. Yeah. But,
he also, I think today or yesterday got announced he's going to be in Dune Part 3.
Yeah, I think I know he's going to be. I think he's going to be like I don't know if you would call him the main villain of the second book. Not really, but he's like there's only one major character that isn't cast yet, and it's Scytale, the Talaxu.
I think it was confirmed that it's Scytale.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense because he's like, I can see how like in the context of like building the movie, he's going to be shaped as kind of the villain in a way.
Yeah,
they describe him as the villain, and we should mention he's in talks at the moment. They're eyeing
that's
him
true
for the role.
He would be good. I'll say
Yeah.
this, having read some of the later, well, this might be I forget what happens to Scytale in the second book, but I do know Scytale. The Talaxu are the people that clone the people, like from the tanks and like the dead bodies and stuff. And even though it takes place like 5,000 years later, Scytale is in the 5th and 6th books. So, and if you can guess how he's back, it's because of the cloning that he does. So if they ever get to those, then Robert Pattinson will have even more work. So, because he's all over those books, even more so than Messiah, frankly. Well, that's been the Dune date. Is that enough Mickey talk? Do we want to go down the Bong list?
Sure.
Some of these Bong hits. Let me change my background for this. Do
you have one for every Bong?
No, I just have a general one. I just have this really good picture of him.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna go backwards. Weirdly, like Parasite, obviously top tier Bong hit. What even needs to be said about this one?
Best movie of last year and every year before it.
I don't have anything interesting to say about it.
The cast holding their Oscars at Parasite's been like my LinkedIn cover thing for years, and every so often when I get like a weird message when I remember LinkedIn exists, someone will always comment and be like, what is that about? Like, you really like that movie?
Yeah,
I remember the first time I saw it, like bounced off me. Well, I liked it, but I was also like, whoa, what was that? Because I honestly didn't know what to expect. I saw it somewhat later in its run, so I wasn't sure if I was like heading into a comedy or like a thriller, and it's kind of both. And like the first time, I was just like, it was one of those things. Like sometimes Scorsese's movies do that too, where like the first time it hits you, it's kind of like, whoa, what was that? And then you have to experience it again. You're like, okay, this is amazing. But yeah, I do remember that first hit was just like almost too much. Like
that's how I am with Zack Snyder films. But sorry.
But you never go back.
Yeah.
I've told this story before on other podcasts, I assume. Bri's the reason I got to go to the premiere of Parasite, and it was maybe 2 months before it came out in theaters, and for 2 months I was just like trying not to be that guy that overhyped a movie, but also was like, I think I saw like the best movie, and I like need to go see it again to understand it. And
it was Beyond Fest, I think, right?
Yeah, and it was like almost worse because then I just had to live with it alone for a few months, and
then I think a bunch of us were at the Dome screening, I think, where was like all the huge Q&A.
We went little like, I didn't want to scare him, but we were there a lot. We were seeing a lot of Bong that year.
That's right. That was the year that I went after Robert Eggers that year. You had Bong and all that.
Yeah, he thinks we all look alike. It's fine.
The Parasites, right as of now, in a first release movie, is the most I've seen a movie in theaters on its first release, which was 14 times.
Holy shit!
I just if someone was going, I was going with them. If somebody like, yeah, I really want to see that, I'd be like, that's awesome. What are you doing tonight? Can I go with you?
I don't think
I was chasing the high of that, especially the kick. I was chasing that high because the audience every time had like a really guttural like, oh, and I wanted to experience that over and over. It was like an addiction.
Yeah, I don't think I think the most I've seen something is like maybe 5 or 6 times, and like.
Yeah, I think 6 is.
I don't think I recommend it. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Did you get to do the IMAX?
I did. I went to the IMAX a few weeks ago. It was sick.
So good, yeah.
Kind of the same thing. It was a lot of people that I'm not sure had seen it where we're coming back, and it was really cool that the reactions were still there. Like it just hits in all the right things.
Before Parasite, he made one of the few of his big movies I haven't seen, mainly because my mental state, I was like, I don't know if I'm in the mood to watch Okja right now, because I've heard that one's pretty rough, if you're an animal person. Have y'all all seen Okja?
I actually have not. That's one I haven't seen.
This is Brian, Dan.
Okja is wonderful also. It's interesting because I've been curious in reactions to Mickey 17 how many people have only seen Parasite that then followed it up with Mickey 17, because I imagine it's very strange that shift. Because Okja feels in the same weird, like shares a lot of the weird genre-ness or the genre like bending kind of comedic stepping between like horror and action and that with Mickey 17 and like Snowpiercer to a degree. I think all of his like English language movies tap into that with like very like Spielberg-y directed action sequences, where I think my review when I saw Okja when it came out was like, oh, they should give Bong should do like some big like Star Wars. I don't think that now. I don't want him to do that. But at the time I was like, oh, we should do like a Star Wars movie because he's got like the action direction chops on lock.
If he wanted to do one and was interested and they gave him creative control, it'd be cool. Yeah, I'd seen some others before Mickey, so I kind of also knew a little bit more like what to expect. But yeah, let's keep moving backwards to Snowpiercer. Speaking of that one, that was my intro to Bong. It's one of my 2, I think, favorites. Which I understand it's like some people are kind of whatever on it, but I think I like this specific mix of tones. I think it's like kind of a good mix now, having seen like most of his movies. Like it's like a good middle ground mix in terms of the lightness and the darkness, I think. And I just like how comic book he is. It is based on a comic book, and it feels like in a certain visual ways he like really embraces that in that movie. Yeah, I love Chris Evans and I love Tilda Swinton, and I showed it to my mom and she fucking hated it. So
oh, that's interesting, because I was about to say, I feel like of all his movies, and I still stand by this, I feel like it would be like the best movie to introduce someone to his work.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but I think my mom would hate all of his movies, frankly. At this point.
That's fair. Honestly, like, actually, that's a good point. Like, if you show them that and they're not digging it, I'd be like, maybe The Host, but probably not for you.
Yeah.
He just may not be for you.
Yeah, felt like my introduction to him. I guess it was my reintroduction to him. I had seen The Host when it came out because that got a lot of buzz, and I saw that. I liked it, but I didn't really keep up on his career. So when this came out, I just heard like, oh, it's from the guy who made The Host. And getting a very big release, Weinstein was pretty upset with him. He didn't like the final cut, and they did kind of bury the movie. But I got good reviews, and I went to go see it, and I was absolutely blown away. Me and like the four other people that were in the theater.
Well, genuinely, I think like it got. Like, I know it didn't do super well, but genuinely, I think in a way, like Chris Evans' casting was like helped get it out. Like, that's definitely part of why I was seeing it at that time. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, I probably would have seen it. Yeah, but that was like peak MCU, sort of the beginning.
And I think that's why it was on my radar. But I'm just saying, like, you're right, that was peak MCU, and they did not take advantage.
No.
He was not doing talk shows. There were not posters up all over of like.
No, I think you're right. I think the Weinsteins were trying to keep it buried out of like rage of some sort.
Yeah.
But it came out. It also came out in the like year between college and graduate school where I had a lot of time, and so I think I saw a lot more movies that year also.
This was one of the last things I saw before I moved to LA. Like there was one theater in Oklahoma where I was living before I moved here right after college that was showing it, and I remember thinking it was a cool way, like a cool send-off type of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, it's such a sick, like, not only someone understanding comic books, but also this kind of video game thing where one of my favorite things it does is that every time you get to a new, like, the plot of the movie is sort of like a literal train moving through the world during like an ice age, and every train car is like a different, like, almost like class-based thing, and from the top of the train to the back being like the worst in terms of like conditions, and every time you jump a thing it's like a whole new environment, and it was so like almost like you get like a dopamine hit from like what's it going to be, because it just gets either super weird or it's gorgeous or it's like really depressing or and it's such like a cool thing to have, or like it almost feels like little short films, then you get bam something new, like it has the globe trotting of a Bond movie in the sequence of like small train cars, and that's such a cool thing to pull off.
Yeah, the production design was incredible. Like, if it would have gotten an Oscar campaign, I feel like that would have been almost a shoo-in, but they weren't really pushing that. I also like the movie because I feel it has more to say than like Mickey 17, which was good, and like obviously had criticism of capitalism. But like, and this is a little spoilery, but the movie's been out for over 10 years now. When you finally get to the end with Ed Harris, like, it's like, oh, that's what the movie's about. And like the metaphor for him then is a little broad and open, and like, oh yeah, I get it. Like, it's like the world, but condensed to a train, and like the class systems. But when you get to the whole Ed Harris scene and how the train is working and what they're doing, it's like, oh, he actually has a lot more to say than just like class and the world is bad, like, and that's what I really appreciated. Like that ending, you kind of like, whoa, all right, like probably the right call, but what does that mean?
that was my intro film as well, and it's funny because I just remember like a bunch of the other inspired by movies that came out from this, like High Rise, the Ben Wheatley film, which literally completely did that, but then The Platform, which like literally was like just not as inspired whatsoever.
Yeah.
I'm curious, has anyone watched the show?
No.
I heard it was like decent though.
I don't know. Well, before
have you guys read the comics out of curiosity?
Have you?
Okay. No.
I always get it mixed up with that comic 13 because they're both like French comics, I think, that have been adapted in different ways.
Yeah.
But before Snowpiercer, which was his first English language film, he made Mother, which is which this one I just watched for the first time, and I will say this might be my third favorite actually now. Mother is really good. Mother is mothering, as they say.
He's got one of those filmographies where it's kind of fun to ask because there's not a, I mean, maybe Parasite's got the advantage, but I feel like it's anything you pull from his grab bag, I agree with.
Mother's nuts.
Mother's so sick.
It's funny. I genuinely don't remember if I've seen this or not. I think I saw it at the New Beverly, but like. It was a few years ago, and I cannot remember.
Were you at
what's the plot?
It's like there's a murder in a small town. There's a murder, and this mom whose son has some development issues. Is accused of the murder, and so she's trying to figure out what happened. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw it. I want to say we may have seen it together. Because it was on, they did like the Bong.
Oh, was that the double with Mother and the Host?
Yeah.
Okay, then yes. Okay, yeah.
It was a long night.
Yeah, and me like not remembering if I've seen it or not. I remember enjoying it a lot, or like at that double. Now that you mentioned that double, like I like both the movies, but I don't know something. I only saw it the once, and like by that time it was like 10 o'clock at night, and I think I just. When you see as many good movies as we do, sometimes they don't always stick. But it was very well done.
Was Mother the second one?
Yes.
Yeah.
See, that's a mistake. I feel like compared to I feel like The Host should be the second one because it's like a faster paced movie in a lot of ways.
I would agree. I think this one by like The Host is more well known.
Yeah, that's probably
true.
So. That's probably true.
Commercially wise. Because that's usually how it works in the New Beverly. The one time, the two exceptions, one was when they did Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2, but Spider-Man was like the 1978 made-for-TV Marvel show.
Okay.
So like there was a few people there, but people didn't really show up until Spider-Man 2 at 10:30, which I thought was weird for the New Beverly. But yeah, that's usually the more commercial one goes first. So I think that's why they went that way.
Before Mother, so this is Mother, not to be confused with Mother, the Darren Aronofsky film.
Yes,
that would be a wild double, by the way.
Mother double feature. But before that, he made
Mother's Day.
He made The Host, which was sort of his kind of first, I think his like international breakout, I would say, in a lot of ways. Like I didn't see this for like until just this last week, but I heard about it when it came out. I feel like G4 or whatever the fuck probably covered it a bunch, and those types of things. I will say I think I was a little underwhelmed by this. Maybe it had this thing in my head for 20 years and seeing it and I was like, oh, this is good, but I think I like basically everything else more, but which is to say it's still a very good movie.
That's fair. And I could see seeing it now and seeing his other work, especially post-Host, being a little let down. I believe when it came out, it just felt like such a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
And just who is this guy? And the way he balanced the family dynamic with the monster movie dynamics, and
I watched it today because I was either between that or Mother, and because Host is a little easier to go through, I was like, I'm gonna rewatch, I should say. And I actually felt the family dynamic is so similar to the Parasite structuring, with just the way they're for each other, the way he approaches families is really interesting.
Yeah, it feels like this. I always think about this in the same vein as Cloverfield, which was first getting into the internet hyping me up for movies.
Yeah.
Where I was in high school and this was coming out, and the film things I was reading, AV Club, were this thing's crazy, this guy's gonna be, and I think I watched this before I watched Memories of Murder when it came out, but this was, I remember I didn't think it played in Tulsa. I think I had to go to Oklahoma City to see it. It was a whole thing. And
Yeah, I was living in Milwaukee, and it never came to Milwaukee. I had to wait till I rented it. I didn't see it in theater.
Yeah, I'm honestly not even sure I saw it in a theater back then. But I was chomping at the bits for it.
Champing.
And champing at the bits for it.
You fucker.
And,
yeah, no, it is really good. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say it's bad in any capacity.
Yeah.
No, but like I said,
every opinion.
20 years out, it may have lost a little bit of its what is this?
Yeah.
In the same way that Parasite may in 20 years, depending on his career and what movies look like.
I tell you what, why don't you watch your fucking mouth?
It might take 40 years.
Yeah. And then before that, he did Memories of Murder, which I think is my other favorite. I think this and Snowpiercer are my favorite. And because they kind of are, they're like his two, like one's like fun guy mode and one's like sad guy mode a little bit comparatively, even though they both have a mix of that. Really great stuff. I just did a rewatch with Bri, and it's funny, like before I rewatched it, I was thinking about how much it feels like Zodiac kind of pulled from this movie, but on a rewatch I realized that in a way Memories of Murder feels like it's almost in conversation with Fincher, where it's like Seven to Memories of Murder to Zodiac. And I would love to see like a conversation between Bong and David Fincher about those movies. Would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, they both are like, when I rewatched it a few years ago, I feel like I was really taken by this and Zodiac. Feel like they're kind of wrapped up in like our frustration with decision making by like the cops and the people, and like everyone's just making bad decisions, but also like decisions not that you understand, but like as they build the characters, you sort of get how they're falling into the trap of it. That makes it really frustrating, especially since both, well, at the time when this came out, it was unsolved. It is now solved. But same with like Zodiac, where it's like you sort of know going in that you're not going to get a satisfying answer at the end of it. And one of the I love the last shot of this is one of those all-timers. I feel like if I was in film school and saw this, I would just make my first, like, every movie end with a similar shot, because it's kind of perfect.
Is the person who has been found to be guilty one of the people that's in this movie depicted in any way?
I don't think so. It was like the case was solved while he was doing the Parasite tour, so he kind of spoke about being like really overwhelmed by it, because I guess the case was reopened because of the movie, because the stuff actually happened in the 80s and 90s. But I believe that the person that they caught was a DNA test from someone who was in jail for a different crime, and the DNA, new tech and DNA linked him back to murders.
Wow.
So he was already in prison for it, for unrelated or maybe related crimes, but unrelated to like the serial killing stuff, which is pretty nuts.
It does seem a little bit like, whereas like Zodiac is like so layered in like very specific real details, it does feel a little bit like, I'm guessing Bong kind of was like, let's go do this stuff a little more. It feels a little less fact-based, I would say.
I'm making a movie here.
Yeah. And it's more interested in like kind of the characters in terms of, since we can't, it's more about like Song Kang-ho's person than the case, which I think is why it's kind of like feels bad, because he's just like, is he good? Is he bad? It is like, what's I don't know. It's fantastic. I think one of the best jump kicks in cinema too.
That's a great moment. I feel like Zodiac kind of almost takes that stuff a step further, where they kind of are trying to put you almost in what the mindset of the Robert Graysmith character is, which is, we're going to give you every piece of information about this case possible, and you're still not going to be able to figure out, you dumb motherfucker. Like, now you're going to be haunted by it.
And like obsessive in a frustrating way almost.
But yeah.
Well, it's interesting, and this is more about Zodiac now, but I remember watching the special features, and the writer, I think it was Eric Roth who wrote that, talked about like when he read the books that Gyllenhaal's character wrote, he was like, wow, what I'm really interested in is that this guy did all this stuff. And like, the books aren't really about him. The books are just about all this information that he found. But Eric Roth is like, wait a minute, you're just some guy.
You just destroyed your life.
Yeah, and like that's what he wanted to know about. Is like, wait, okay, so how? It was almost kind of like adaptation. It's like I actually want to know more about the author than like what the author has written.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah,
great movie.
Yeah.
You hear that, Bong?
That's a great. I mean, it would be. I think that would be a good double feature. Is Memories and Zodiac.
It'd be a long night at the New Beverly.
Yeah, yeah, it would be a long one. And then before Memories of Murder, he made one film, which I think, Daniel, you're the only one who's seen it here, which is Barking Dogs Never Bite. Any opinions about that? And/or Tokyo, because I know that's another movie. And/or any of his shorts.
Oh yeah. I've like technically I've seen Tokyo because it's like him and the guy who directed Holy Motors
And Michelle Gondry.
Yeah. But it's been a long time. Don't remember much about it. It was like pre-film school thing. Barking Dogs Never Bite is good, and I actually liked it better revisiting it because I'd seen it years ago, and it feels like it's first feature.
Mm-hmm.
But like going back, you see so much of his stuff where you're like, dang, if I'd like be very proud of this for my first feature because it's got a lot of his trademarks very early from the get-go. It's super dark, but has that kind of tonal tight walk of because it's basically like it's kind of like a horror comedy about someone killing dogs and making that funny, like in a weird, like it's really weird because he clearly loves the dogs, but it feels tied to like it's like a I think he's like a college professor or like a TA, and there's in his apartment building there's all these dogs that just are like keeping him up at night, and he starts to like lose it over them. It's dope. I plan to go. It's playing this weekend at the Academy Museum, and I think I want to go see it. It's the only one I haven't seen a big screen, so I was debating maybe going one more time.
Oh yeah, nice. And lastly, what would we like to see him do next? I think that he should be in charge of retooling the MCU. I think we should burden him with that. What about you?
I'd say definitely post Doomsday. It's Bong's time.
It's Bong's day.
He should do, if he took a Marvel, I would love him to do like a Hickman run as a Marvel movie. That'd be sick.
I think it would be, you know what would be fun? He should adapt as a short film the issue from Hickman's run where Peter Parker and Johnny Storm are roommates and nothing really serious happened. It's just about them not getting along as roommates.
I could see that. That'd be sick.
That'd be good.
I know he had I went to the I saw Oakja with him and Stephen Yoon 2 weeks ago at the Academy, and he's talked about that he's got an animated movie that's coming out next year maybe that he's been working on since like right after Parasite, and then he has a script that he's written for Stephen Yoon for another feature that's he didn't say anything else about.
Did he mention anything about the Parasite series that was going to be coming to HBO?
No.
I don't know if that's still happening. It was going to be him and
Adam McKay or something.
Yeah, which makes sense. Like, I'd say they have a similar like viewpoint politically,
like Adam
and
McKay's
that's
new obsessions.
Yeah, and so I'm curious about what that show would be, and if it's happening. I'm not sure if it still is anymore.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about that. And then also, did you guys get a chance? I went to the museum exhibit, which will be there for. I thought it was like limited. It's going to be there for 2 years.
Oh, okay.
Where is this? But it's freaking sick. At the Academy Museum, there's a Bong Joon Ho exhibit across. It's a pretty big space. It's where like the Wizard of Oz exhibit was. I'd loved it once before. But there's like a bunch of props and like the models for his monsters. There's like the big Okja like thing they used on set, and the portrait wall from Parasite, but the coolest thing is like he has like all these videotapes from the film club he was a part of growing up. They're all like these bootleg VHSs. And then my favorite room, a lot of storyboards and script notes and stuff. But there's a room that's just the entire storyboarded, all of his storyboards for Parasite on display, and like it's probably like 7-8 feet tall, that just wraps around everything, and it's got all of his notes on it, and it's such a cool thing to see because it's just like verbatim what we have in the movie on the page, and it's such a sick thing. It's worth the visit. I think it was very cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't realize that was happening. Now I'll have to check that out.
Well, it's time to take another one of these and play Connor's Wicked Games. Sponsored by Chris Isaac. Every week, like Jigsaw, I like to play a little game. This week, Bong X Bongs. Once again, I have used IMDb's advanced search to create a devious game. I will give you the name of 2 movies. One movie is directed by Bong Joon Ho. The other is a stoner movie, though let me put an asterisk on that. You'll be taking turns guessing how many collaborators these 2 films share. 3 points for the most correct guess, but it'll be split up depending if multiple people make the same guess or 2 people are equally close. And the range here is 0 to 15. The asterisk is that as this goes on, the movies are less stoner movies and more movies where someone smokes pot. And in fact, by the end, there may be some non-Bong Joon-ho movies that have no weed in them. As in, it'll be a Bong Joon-ho movie and just some other movie that doesn't actually have weed in it. If you can identify this, it is worth an extra point, but minus 1 point for incorrect identification. And one more thing. I would like, before we start, that people make 2 guesses. And the range for these guesses are 1 through 6. 1, how many of these 12 do you think will have no weed in the stoner movie? So you can write it down, just keep it in your head and don't change it. 1 through 6. Everyone understand what I'm saying? How many of the 12 do we think the non-Bong Joon-ho movie will have no weed? And then for the other one, how many of these, same range, 1 through 6, do you think will have 0 collaborators in common?
Okay.
And you can write that number down as well. And these will be worth some bonus points at the end. And if everyone is good on those, we will get started. First off, we'll start with Daniel. Barking Dogs Never Bite and Dazed and Confused.
And what are the answers you're looking for from me?
I'm looking for a number 1 through 15. You're guessing how many collaborators you think these movies shared. The range is 0 through 15. And you could also make a guess if you think Dazed and Confused does not have weed smoking in it. I would advise against saying that though. Just
collaborators between the 2 of them. No, only within the 2 movies. Like,
yes.
Okay. Feels like a trick question. I'm gonna go 0.
Scott?
Yeah, I'm thinking 0.
Bri?
I'm also going 0. There's no way.
Yeah. Okay, you are all you all get 1 point. That 3 points is split up. There are no collaborators.
Oh, just finishing filming my film in Austin, Texas. Now it's time to head over to.
Yeah. Or it's just like a drugged out like a gaffer who's just like, I gotta fucking work somewhere.
Yeah, I just can't see the connection of those two. All right, great, we got it.
All right, Scott. This one will start with you. Mickey 17 and Your Highness. Do people remember Your Highness, the James Franco, Danny McBride?
Before Scott answers, could I ask how deep are we talking? Just cast? Are we talking crew? Are we talking?
It's just when you use IMDb advanced collaboration search, they give you fucking everything, bro.
Okay. Dang.
I'm gonna say
2. Bri?
You say 3.
Daniel?
Can I ask what year Your Highness was? Is that 2012?
No.
I'm gonna say 6.
Well, Daniel, you get all the points because you're the closest, because the actual answer is 13. I think there was like a small special effects team that was probably shared between the two.
That's, yeah.
Next up, we'll start with you, Bri. Parasite and A Very Harold and Kumar Christmas.
Say 2.
Daniel?
I'm gonna say 7.
And Scott?
I'll say 4.
Well, those points all go to Bri because the correct answer is 1. It is George Friedrich Handel, the old like 1800s composer. I guess they both have a track in those.
That's wild.
Jesus. Okay.
Next up, we'll start this one with you, Daniel. Okja and Harold and Kumar Escape from Guantanamo Bay.
What a double feature.
I'm gonna go 10.
10. Scott?
I'm going to say 2.
And Bri?
I'm gonna Price is Right this shit and do 1.
Scott's right on the money. It is 2.
Oh, nice.
Including, so he gets all those points, including Johann Sebastian Bach.
Okay.
Next up, we are starting with Scott. Memories of Murder and Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle.
All right, so I know Neil Patrick Harris is in both, so that's at least 1.
He's the serial killer.
Yeah. I'm going to stick with 2. I'm going to say 2.
Bri?
I'm gonna say 0.
Daniel?
I'm gonna say 1.
Bri gets all the points. It is exactly 0. There's fucking...
Like, I could just never see a conversation without, hey, what are you working on? Oh, I'm doing this.
I was just picturing like the American distributor.
Yeah.
Curtis
totally.
did.
Well, now that we know that, like, okay, Johann Sebastian Bach counts as like 1, so like,
Right,
yeah.
true.
This one will start with you, Bri. It's Snowpiercer and Up in Smoke.
I can see some things on that. Maybe 3.
Daniel?
Weird.
It's like such a long amount of time in between them, right? I'm gonna say 1.
Scott?
I was also thinking 1, actually.
Well, you two will both get a 1.5 because the correct answer is 0. And you're one away from it.
I keep thinking it was going to be like another one of those, like, oh, they had the same track or something. Or
Sublime song in both.
Next up, and this one's going to start with Daniel. Okja and Pineapple Express.
5.
Scott?
2.
Bri?
7.
7?
Mm-hmm.
All points go to Bri. That is right on the money.
Damn.
Including an actor and like a composer, I think it looks like.
I smoked a lot of that. A lot of that Pineapple Express when I went to see Okja, the new band that I was just watching.
Pineapple Oak Express.
Okja
Express.
That was my trauma. But by the way, I watched that on film in New Beverly. Went in not expecting what I left with that scene.
I'm glad I have devised the one Bong Joon Ho based game that Daniel wouldn't win at. Even though it's still anyone's game because of how swingy the points are here. Next up, this one starts with you, Scott. Mother plus Half Baked.
Smoking weed and half baked. It's been a while since I've seen that one.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
Maybe it's edible.
Remember that. You guys can guess that there's no weed in the non Bong Joon Ho movie.
You know what were the two movies? Half Baked and which one?
Mother.
I'm gonna say zero.
Right?
Come on.
Yeah, I'm gonna say zero as well.
Chappelle was the other murder suspect.
Yeah.
Daniel?
I'll play safe and say zero also.
That's a point for everyone. Split. That is, in fact, nobody is in between those. Next up, Bri, Mickey 17 and Good Time.
Oh, jeez. What can we? It's 1 through what? 15?
0 through 15.
0 through 15. Rather. I'll just say 9.
Scott or Daniel is next.
I'm gonna say 15.
Scott.
I'm gonna say 1.
Scott gets the points because it was 2. It's Robert Pattinson and some other guy, Kyle Casey in the editorial department.
That's surprising, just based on how many people were involved in the secondary. But maybe it was a small proof of good time, I guess.
Yeah. Last 3. Fucking Daniel, Snowpiercer and A Flash of Green. Ever heard of this movie? I sure hadn't before. Snowpiercer and A Flash of Green.
5.
Scott?
I'll say, and I'm gonna guess A Flash of Green is the movie with no weed smoking in it.
Bri?
I was thinking the exact same thing. It's 2 on the nose for like trickery.
But what number are you guessing?
Oh, sorry. 3. No, 0. 3. Yeah, 3.
3. Well, Scott, you get the 3 points because it was 1. But you guys both do get an extra bonus point because, yes, there is no weed smoking in A Flash of Green. I will say, I will give a bonus point if people can guess the one person. It is an actor that is shared. Everyone gets one guess between Snowpiercer and A Flash of Green.
Can we get a hint of the year?
Swinton. Tilda Swinton.
It's not Tilda Swinton.
John Hurt.
Not John Hurt.
No, I'm thinking we were talking about him earlier. Ed Harris.
That's a bonus point for Bri. It is, in fact,
Hey.
Ed Harris. Scott, Mother, and Chef.
When you say chef, are we talking about that Favreau movie?
Yes, I am talking about that Favreau movie.
I have no idea what that even is.
It's a lovely tuck yourself into bed with a snack movie. It's very nice. It's very pleasant.
It's a little small movie Jon Favreau made between like starting the MCU and taking over Disney Star Wars stuff.
Yeah. You got to make one more personal movie, and then it was back to the paychecks.
Back to the old.
I'm going to say
0. Bri?
I'll say the same.
Daniel?
I'm going to say 1.
That's 3 points for Daniel. It is exactly 1, and it's like a manager. Somehow there's a manager of like people that has like a special thanks in one and was connected to the other. So it's crazy.
Was there weed smoking in that one? Would that have been another?
No, there was. I checked on IMDb.
Sure, I wasn't sure, but that's why I didn't. Yeah, they might go high in that one.
Lastly, this is the last one. Bri, The Host and Avengers Endgame.
15. I'm gonna say 2. For
2.
some reason.
Yeah. Daniel?
I'm gonna say 4.
Scott?
The country
I'm
where
gonna
dying game.
I'm going to say 1, and I'm also going to say that is another movie where no one smokes weed.
Yeah, I was actually gonna add that on the Avengers because that's definitely a non-smoking weed movie. I don't know if that's illegal, but
Only if Daniel can do the same.
It's a long movie. I'm trying to think of if they took up in that sucker. Did the Guardians smoke in that or something? I'll join the fun.
Yeah, everyone gets a bonus point, and Daniel, you get all 3 points. You were 2 off. There are 6 people shared.
Dang.
And these bonus points are going to really determine who wins this thing. Yeah, it's like sound department people.
Okay.
Some visual effects people. It looks like that got shared between the host and Avengers Endgame, which would make sense.
Yeah.
So how many at the beginning did you all guess? We'll start with Daniel. Would have no weed in them.
I put 2.
Scott
I said 2.
and Bri.
I said 3.
Well, Scott and Daniel are gonna split 2.5 points or 5 points, so 2.5 each, because it was exactly 2. Then how many did you guys think would have 0 in common? Daniel, we'll start with you.
Wrote 5.
Scott,
I said 3.
Bri.
Went for 2.
That's another split between Scott and Daniel. Sorry, Bri.
That's cool.
And Scott, that's a gold medal for you. And Daniel, that's silver and a bronze for Bri. But it really did come down like you guys were all within. I mean, Daniel and Scott are within 1 point of each other, and before the bonus points, y'all were all within 1 point of each other. So that was a close one.
I
You know
really
what?
thought I was on the losing end of that.
The week is really starting to turn around for me. This is really good.
Yeah, this is the beginning. This right here. This is what I said earlier. I was like, dude, just hop on this thing, man. You never know. Like you're winning now. Like literally.
Well,
winning.
Scott, do you have your bit today?
Yeah, just a quick one.
Okay, cool. Scott.
All right, welcome to Scott's Comic Corner, brought to you by Eric Clapton and, I don't know, Duplex Houses, Kill a Family, the origin one. What I'm going to talk about is Deadpool, actually, is coming to an end once again. And I'm disappointed about that. Marvel seems to be doing that with a bunch of series. They're also doing that with what they're doing with Scarlet Witch is it ends after 10 issues, and then they do like a 4-issue run of Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, and then they did another 10-issue run, and now it's going to be Scarlet Witch and Vision. And they appear to be doing a similar thing with Deadpool. I really like the writer. His name is Cody Ziegler. He had about a 15-issue run. Issue 15 will come out in July. That'll be issue 350, legacy issue number 350 for Deadpool. But that run will be ending. The series will be ending then. But then they're going to be starting a 3-issue series called Wolverines and Deadpools, which will be about Wolverine and his daughter and Deadpool and his daughter. And the Deadpool and his daughter relationship was the big focus of this current run. And Ellie's an interesting character. She's fun. She works as a good bounce off of Deadpool. I don't know if I'd read issue, like a whole series about her. In fact, Deadpool died in the run, and there was like a 3-issue run where she had to like bring him back and save him, and that was fine. But I remember as I was reading that, I was like, yeah, I don't think she has what it takes to like fill a series. But anyways, I am disappointed to see that series come to an end, because like I said, I thought Cody had a good handle on Deadpool. It's a tough character. you can fall too much into the comedy, and then things just become annoying. But I thought he managed it really well. And there was a fun Miles Morales Spider-Man like crossover, which Cody's also writing.
That's cool.
That just finished up. So yeah, it was a good run. And like I said, I'll be looking forward to reading Wolverine and Deadpool's, and we'll see what happens for the character after that.
That's cool, especially just because like Peter Parker has this relationship with Deadpool that they use a lot in certain comics, and I don't know if like I haven't really thought of like Miles interacting with Deadpool that much. And that's a cool idea. And then have you ever read Rick Remender's Uncanny X-Force from years ago?
No.
You should pick that up. That's like my favorite. It's like Deadpool's like one of the 5 main characters. It's Wolverine, Psylocke, Archangel, Phantom X, and Deadpool. And that's like my favorite run I've ever read with Deadpool, and I think it's because he's allowed to be like really silly, but in the context of like a bunch like much more serious characters. It reads I like the contrast, and the art's really good.
It's apparently getting canceled after issue 5, but Weapon X just came out, and that's like him, Cable, Wolverine, and 2 other lesser known. Like those are the main 3, and that a similar aesthetic where like he's a little silly, but you've got enough seriousness around him that he's almost more like the comic relief.
Yeah, I think that's where I like Deadpool. I think I've liked each of the Deadpool movies more, partially because each movie is like more about other people also, and so like it the balance works better.
What I'll say about Ziegler's run is that he's got a good team, like a whole like ensemble. There's Deadpool, there's Ellie, those are the main 2 characters, but Deadpool has another daughter named Princess, who is a dog, but a symbiote dog. Like she looks like Carnage, but she's a dog. But then who works at the company is Taskmaster and this guy named Jeff, or Doug rather, and like that whole cast, like they all work well together. And stuff,
nice.
So,
I was gonna see if anybody got anything else. I'm gonna get a motherfucking into genocide, Palestine, Congo, Sudan, everywhere else. I was gonna recommend Absolute Martian Manhunter #1. I was texting Scott about this. Like you, I fell off of the Absolute series for the most part, but I've been checking out the #1s, and Absolute Martian Manhunter, like literally everybody should Google Absolute Martian Manhunter and look at that art right now, because it's so trippy and psychedelic. And the first issue, you can see there's the
that's sick.
And it's cool. Have you read it yet, Scott?
I haven't read it yet.
It's cool. There's I want to lower my hand. There's like stuff in it. I would recommend getting a print version, because they do like a gag at one point where there's like a page, and then in order to like see the full page, like to have Martian vision or whatever, you're supposed to hold that page up to the light, and then the page they have printed on the other side like shines through, and that's how like the comic they use that at like a pretty major point in the comic. It's really cool, and it'll be interesting to see. I think I have an idea, because I have like a basic understanding of the character normally, what they're doing. But it's just a really cool. I'm a very art forward comic reader. Like, to me, I really, if the art ain't happening, I ain't reading it. And
see, that's interesting, because I'm definitely more writer focused. Like I follow writers more than, but
I do that too. I will follow writers for sure, but then like in terms of other stuff, I really like a good art style will keep me hooked. And it's really gorgeous and cool and trippy looking. And then I also saw Black Bag, which was great. I think I mentioned that earlier. Yeah. Great movie. But anybody else got anything to shout
Black
out?
Bag, 100%. One of probably my favorite thing this year so far.
It's like, I think we were talking maybe off air about it, but I know last episode you kind of mentioned that it's like the movie Mr. and Mrs. Smith wanted to be or whatever, and I would phrase it more as like, it's like this is to Mr. and Mrs. Smith what like John le Carre is to James Bond. Like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy
Sure.
is a James Bond.
Yeah,
It's like John le Carre's Mr. and Mrs. Smith. And it's 90 minutes. I mean,
It's like quick. I mean, it's just a very like tight 92. Like, and it's one of those that just shows off how much Soderbergh is such a cinematographer. Like he had really did like, I mean, he's great in everything he really shoots and everything, but he's in his pocket with this one for sure.
really cool score.
It looks
also.
effortless.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
in a way.
it's deceptively simple. Like,
And
it feels like,
everyone-
anybody could make this, but like, obviously they can't because it doesn't
That
happen all
tight
the time.
script. Everyone's good, and everyone's got like a moment to be really good.
Yeah.
Like it feels like an ensemble. Even though it's like a Fassbender show, it's like everyone's got like a moment that's for them, and it's so sick.
Yeah, because there's like 7 characters basically, essentially. I would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, I was impressed with the script, and I was a little worried because David Korb wrote it, and I don't always like work, but I feel that's mostly because he is hired for like big movies that like possibly the script may not represent what the movie finally came out to be. So you always have to have that. But I will say, like, when I saw David Korb, I was like, I don't know, but yeah, I liked it a lot.
I finally caught up on Severance, which you may have been talking about here before. Killer, loved it. And then I'm catching up currently on Andor. I've been really off the Star Wars game for years, and I've been told to watch Andor over and over and over. I finally have dived in, and you guys are right. It's pretty sick. Having a
I
great
still haven't
time.
seen it, but yeah, I'm in the exact same boat, except I have not jumped on Andor yet. But
I've just like been craving. I think Mickey 17. I was like, oh man, I miss big sci-fi stuff. And then I was like, maybe I'll give it a try. So here I am. It rules. And like, I had just revisited Michael Clayton. I think I talked about it on a podcast a few months ago. But Michael Clayton, if I taught a screenwriting class, Michael Clayton would be the script we talked about all semester. I think it's like a perfect script. And Tony Gilroy is the showrunner behind Andor. And you can tell through a lot of things that it's just a genre thing, a political genre piece that happens to take place in Star Wars. And it rules.
Yeah.
Are we watching Madam Web?
Yeah, I feel like watching Madam Web for some reason.
Hell yeah! All right,
So
Connor,
anyone want to watch Madam Web? Because that's what's happening. That's what's happening behind me right now.
Heck yeah! All right.
So
Good night, everyone.
It's a good situation. Yeah, I want to say we'll be back, and probably the next 2 months it's going to be a little slower going out just for various reasons, including like my birthday and family visiting. But in 3 weeks we'll be back with Twin Peaks Club 12, parts 10 through 14 of The Return. I want to thank Brian here for composing our outro. I want to say smash that like button, like and subscribe, tell your friends, share this episode with your local expendable. We're on TikTok and Instagram at CinemaCurse666, and I think that's about it. I mean, I know that my mother went to the Amazon rainforest to study diseases or whatever. Why did you do it, Mom? Did you hate me? Anyways, sorry.
I hope the spiders were worth it.
Anybody listening to this is going to be like, what the fuck are they talking about? So
you break into a random Madam Web chat. So that's proper.
Sometimes you just have to Madam Web post a little bit, but
that's all it is.
All right. Well, yeah, it was fun. I love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.
Bye. See ya.
Bye.